The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution. And Grand Rising, we'll be with you in just one moment. Stay tuned for the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. Right here.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Blog Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, ni hao. In India, namaste. In Japan, konnichiwa. In Korea, annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, здравствуйте. In Germany, guten Tag. In Poland, dzień dobry. In France, bonjour. In Spain, hola. In Italy, ciao. In Egypt, ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, akwaba. In Nigeria, paleo. In South Africa, sawubona. In Senegal, mangadet. In Kenya, jambo. In Israel, shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Saudi Arabia, assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all.
Grand Rising, and let us welcome you to another Wednesday edition of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And we'll be right back as we prepare to join with our co-host and our American Muslim 360 family. And we want to discuss the issue today. When your private business becomes public, how to handle shame. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So stay with us. The Female Solution Global Radio TV show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Cell Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution. And as always, we appreciate all of you who are a part of our daily discussion. We urge you to call in 515-605-9325 and press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we'll come right to you and get your thoughts as we connect with our co-host, Kareem Hamid, and our American Muslim 360 family.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution. Men and women, husbands and wives, as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
Yes. And Grand Rising. Thank you for joining us this Wednesday morning. We are live on the Female Solution Facebook page, and we're connected with our American Muslim 360 family. Want to make sure we can hear you okay?
Yes, assalamu alaikum, Naima Latif.
Wow.
How are you this morning?
Excellent. Wonderful. So glad to hear your voice this morning, and glad to be with our American Muslim 360 family. And we're looking forward to an invigorating conversation. As always, we want to address an issue that comes up quite often, and unfortunately is a rising cause of suicide among young people. We're talking today about public shame, because so much of what happens privately gets exposed to the public because of our many ways of handling social media. And too often those private photos, those private moments, or even that private divorce that may be occurring gets into the public arena and becomes part of public conversation. And as a result, things about a person are talked about that many did not intend to be public knowledge or public conversation. Young people have a specific difficult time with major public embarrassments because they don't have a history of long-term life and knowing that things don't last forever. So something devastating can overwhelm them so much that they take their lives. And we want to talk about the whole issue of shame. A lot of the fear of shame is connected to that topic that you all talked about last week with the men only discussion on respect. And one of the major things that people who become violent if they feel they've been disrespected is the fear of public humiliation. And so that's often the catalyst for their overreaction if they feel that they have been shamed, humiliated, or in some way taken down so that they cannot face the public, if they feel like they've lost face. So I've had some associates who have struggled with this because people have put things on Facebook about them that they find hurtful, maybe even shameful, some things untrue. But social media doesn't have any restrictions other than what is considered grossly obscene. But in terms of slandering people, there are no bars against it. There is nothing to stop people from saying things or accusing you of things, or even publishing your private photos, in which you may have been unclothed or in an intimate act. There's nothing stopping people from doing these things that are causing so much distress. So we want to take a look at that and how to help people handle it if they feel like in any way they have been shamed, and even maybe to remove some of the things that people can feel should shame them, so that we as a society stop using shame as a weapon to destroy people. So that's my thought. Now, I want to ask you a question, and perhaps our listening audience can chime in, because you spoke of uh, men and the respect factor. And we have many people who are expressing various lifestyles, various uh, orientations. But still, in this society, if you are heterosexual, there is an element of shame attached to being accused of homosexuality. And I've had some associates who have had that happen to them, and it has been devastating to them because of, whatever situation. Maybe they're a little effeminate in their mannerisms, or, maybe uh, they have a close male friend, and maybe they rejected a woman's advances, whatever the case may be. But that particular accusation caused them so much extreme emotional distress and feelings of shame that the depression was deadly. So, what are your thoughts about when someone is facing a public accusation and it might be promoted via social media? What is the best way to handle that? Is it to ignore it, or is it to address it, or is it to retaliate? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I begin with Almighty God's name, Bismillah Rahman Rahim, and this is with a lot of things, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. You know, when the so-called World Wide Web was introduced to the general public, I remember our leader, Imam Wahidi Muhammad, warning us or giving us a note of caution. He had already explained to us that words are very, very important, and that words carry messages. And sometimes you have to look behind a word or look behind a statement to get the possibility of its true meaning. We associate a web with spiders, and spiders, they weave a web to catch whatever attaches itself to the web. It may not even be aware that the web is there because the fibers are so thin. And so getting on the web, you have to be very cautious. Very cautious. I know we've heard this statement, come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. It can be very deceptive. And so when you get on the web, that which you do not want the public to know, do not publicize it yourself. Be very cautious as to who you share your personal life with, for they have access to the World Wide Web. Do not do or say anything that you would not want publicized. Sometimes we have very personal thoughts, and even with sharing it with a family member out of anger or something, they may expose that. So my word of caution is, especially concerning this World Wide Web, it has a lot of advantages, but then there is also a downside. Once something is published on the internet, it is there forever. It is there forever. So in accessing and utilizing this social medium, I caution everyone, be very, very wary, of sharing something that you would not want the public to know. Now, we cannot control other people's actions. But if someone publishes something on the web that you shared with them in confidence, I have a saying that I use, that whatever you think about me is none of my business. Those are your private thoughts. Your thoughts are your property. Whatever you think of me is none of that. I will not engage you in that. That's none of my business. That's your business. You deal with that. I will not pick up that whatever that your thoughts are about me. I will not engage you in that. But that's none of my business.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in trying to answer what someone has said about you, that is shameful, and in a lot of cases it may not be correct.
Right.
The more you try to disprove that, it's hard to try to disprove a negative.
Yes.
The more you wrestle with that, the deeper you get into it. I find nothing wrong with making an initial statement denouncing that.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, don't let that consume you.
Yeah, don't give it any more energy.
Don't let that make you. Yeah, so that's my how I deal with and would deal with something that is said that is designed to shame me or show me in an incorrect light. So we have to be very careful of who we share our personal information with. That is, and even if I know a thing that is shameful, my religion, Almighty God says to us in the Quran, do not publicize shameful behavior. Don't make it public. Why? Almighty God says, because you may cause someone's foot to slip from the straight path after Almighty God has guided them to the straight way. Mm-hmm. Now, that means that those that may hear that behavior or that shameful act, it may cause them to lose faith. You may shake their faith, and they're fresh. They are new to the straight path. And that may cause them to waver. So it is not advantageous to publicize behavior or statements that you may deem inappropriate, because you are not only negatively affecting that person, but you are negatively affecting those people that come in contact with that information. Don't be the source of wrong. Be the source of good. Publicize the good. Don't be a party to publicizing that which is bad or haram or evil. Don't publicize evil. So that's my position on that this World Wide Web, it is a web. It is designed to catch everything that comes in contact with it. Utilize it in the best way, but don't utilize it to shame someone or bully. There's a major issue that is being presented: cyberbullying.
Yes.
Cyberbullying.
Yes.
And that negatively affects the young people who are very attached to peer pressure.
Yes.
To how their peers see them, and that how they can lose respect for them. Some young minds have resorted to actually taking their own lives, as if their life is over, as if there is not a tomorrow.
Yes.
Or whatever. So we caution them, it's not the end of your world. You can outlive that, you can outlive whatever something negative that someone has said about you. Your behavior can discount that. So it's not the end of the world. There's always tomorrow. Don't let your life be defined by social media. There's too much value placed on that. And some young people have resorted to suicide due to cyberbullying. So this is a very important subject matter that you bring up, and in regards to respect, I would suggest that we don't become too oversensitive, demanding that someone respect us. I can't control someone else's opinion of me. That's out of my control. But what I can control is the self-respect and what I think of myself, the value that I place on myself. And whatever someone else's opinion is of me, that is their opinion. It's not as valuable as the opinion that I have of myself. God has told me that he has dignified all the descendants of Adam. going to wrestle with you with your property. That's on you. But that will not form me or make me. That will not form me or make me. That is not who I am. So we have to be cautious of even that over demanding respect. Oh, we'll go to great lengths because we perceive that someone may have insulted us, or the perception of insult.
Yeah.
And in today's stressful climate, people usually answer insults with deadly force.
Yes.
It is very critical with deadly force now. There's no more fisticuffs. There's very little verbal argument, and it escalates into a loss of life. A loss of life. So it's what you think of yourself, that respect. So what, you stepped on my shoe. It's just a shoe. It's just a shoe. I am more than a shoe. I am not the clothing that I wear. I am not your perception of me. I know who I am. I know my value. I know my worth. So, this is the type of knowledge that has to be expressed, and don't let someone else define you. Don't react to someone else's definition of you. That is not who you are, and you know that. If you know that, go on your way. Don't even engage. Yes, ma'am. There's much said on this issue, but it begins with how do you value yourself?
How do you value yourself?
Your true self is not what someone says of you or about you. I'll stop right there, my sister.
Well, I think that's the challenge that young people have, because they're still forming their sense of self. They're still forming their self-image, their self-esteem, their sense of self-worth. And it's such a fragile thing that can so easily be broken because, as you said, they rely so much on peer approval. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are being publicly ridiculed, maybe in a classroom, and it's a closed environment where you can't escape, you're there all day, and if you're the butt of jokes, or you're the object of ridicule, or the object of bullying, unless someone steps in and changes that environment for you, it can just be too overwhelming. We have seen people go to classrooms and shoot up schools, and sometimes the story comes out that there was unaddressed bullying. And like you said, people are using deadly force now to handle the pain of shame or humiliation. And if we don't address the roots of it, the disrespect or even the intentional humiliation of someone, then we're adding to what happens consequently when that person responds with deadly force. And we didn't see it coming because we ignored their pain, and we ignored their hurt, and we ignored the fact that they were being treated badly in a way that was too much for them to handle. So we're coming up on a break. I want to address some of the things that have been a regular part of the shaming process that we allow children to go through, something now called fat shaming, which we know has been a part of our culture in many places, making fun of someone who we feel is overweight, making them the butt of jokes and ridicule and shunning. How can we as a culture stop doing that? And then, of course, we do know that there are issues of sexual orientation. There have been a lot of suicides that have been a part of that situation where people have found themselves cruelly ridiculed because of how they express their sexuality. And because we have so many intense belief systems, there are those who will feel that, well, maybe we can shame them out of this. Some of our religious communities really feeling that and not seeing the harmfulness of allowing someone to be publicly humiliated because of how they express their identity. We have people who get shamed, girls who get shamed for being pregnant out of wedlock. We've had young girls commit suicide because of the fear of public shame, family rejection. And we have allowed this culture of shaming to continue. So I'd like to address some of those things when we come back from this break. The culture of shaming and how it does often lead to suicide, and how we can stop doing it and stop condoning the very common ways and reasons why we shame people. And we'll be right back after this break. And if you're listening online, we want you to join this conversation. 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. And if you're on our switchboards now, press 1 if you have a thought to share. We'd certainly love to open your mic and get your thoughts. And we'll be right back after this break. So stay with us.
Do you worry about finances, family, health, job, relationships? Are you in pain? Do you feel stuck? If you answered yes to any of these questions, help is available. Don't worry, you're not alone. It's part of the human process. You only feel this way because you haven't mastered the voices in your head. No hype, just down-to-earth, solid, workable tools and techniques that you can practice daily. It's really food for the soul. Whether you want to learn how not to worry about anything, reverse type 2 diabetes, publish a book, promote your product or service, or just make extra money. To take advantage of the deal of the day, go to zeldaspeaks.com or call 312-409-6619. Mention promo code The Female Solution and get free shipping. That's zeldaspeaks.com or 312-409-6619. Stop worrying today. Visit zeldaspeaks.com. I'm Beata, your holistic life coach. These days, it's more important than ever to work on your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. Are you consciously breathing deeply in stressful moments? Do you have a plan or daily routine to maintain balance in your awesome body? Are you struggling to be disciplined in your eating habits? When you partner with me, I'll help you develop a personalized health plan that works for your particular lifestyle. You can find out more about me at yourholisticlifecoach.com, where you can also review my 3-step protocol to guide you to abundant health. That's yourholisticlifecoach.com, and I'm Beata.
to pay it?
Well, you better pay it on time. We don't want the sun to go out and we're sitting up here all day in the dark. Wouldn't it be terrible if God charged us for sunlight? Well, thank God, the light and heat from the sun is free. So why are we paying such high bills for the energy we use in our homes? Because we don't know how to use solar energy, the free energy from the sun. You can convert your regular home to a solar energy home and save tremendously on your electric bill. Take a look at your electric bill. Wouldn't you like to reduce or possibly even eliminate that cost altogether? Let one of our solar consultants show you how. Call today, 312-849-3456, and schedule a free consultation. That's 312-849-3456.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we are grateful to our co-host for his words of wisdom on our topic today. We're talking about the issue of shame. And sometimes we condone this very cruel way of addressing people because we simply believe that people should feel ashamed. But shame as an emotion, and all emotions carry a vibration that either lifts you up or drags you down. Every emotion. And so the highest emotions, joy, satisfaction, gratitude, these emotions are healing emotions and they lift your spirit. Emotions such as grief, sadness, they are emotions that drag you down, and the lowest vibrating emotion is shame. It's such a feeling of unworthiness. Sometimes you can feel that you are unworthy of life. And it's that emotion of shame that often precedes suicide. So we want to take a look at that and discover whether there is something cultural that we are doing and allowing certain people to live in a perpetual state of shame. So we've got a few comments we're going to share from our Facebook friends, and then we'll get back to our switchboard and get your thoughts on public shaming and how we can remove that from our culture. And Jody Susan, our Tuesday host, says she agrees that bullying happens not just on the web, but even joint text messages. Yeah, that's true. People can send text messages and often group texts, and say something that could be hurtful. And certainly, Jody says, don't let your life be defined by others. Yes, that is, we agree to that. Absolutely. And Carol Hunter, good morning, Carolyn. We appreciate you for joining us. And she says, this is a wonderful subject. Thank you, Carolyn. We're looking forward to your input. And Debbie Green, the Grand Rising Queen, we certainly appreciate you. And of course, we'll be listening to Dr. Debbie Green tomorrow on Soulful Solutions. This is the thing that can help us as a society when we realize we're doing things that are hurtful as a regular practice. So, Brother Kareem, one of the common groups of people that often get shamed for their body weight are people who the society has decided weigh too much for their size. And we've all had, the so-called fat kid in the classroom. And I remember I was very young, and there was a movie that I think came out of China. I don't think it was Japan. I think it was China. And I think the movie was called Fatty or something like that. And it was about this boy that was being bullied. He was, large and being bullied in school. And I think it was like a private school, but it was very cruel what he was going through. And I remember that having an impact on me. I must have seen it like I was like 4 or 5 years old. But I remember that having such an impact on me because of the cruelty of the children. But one thing I remember as a child, noting that none of the adults stepped in to stop the bullying. And I think that's what impressed upon my mind. The adults allowed this. So, Kareem, what do you think about when we see that kind of bullying happening? What is our responsibility as adults, whether it's in a classroom or on the block or just a setting of people in family settings? Somebody picks on the chubby child and makes little remarks as they're eating, or you don't need no more ice cream. Little mean remarks that are destructive, and we might think they're funny as an adult, but they're destroying someone's self-esteem forever. What do you think is the responsibility of conscious adults when they see that kind of thing happening to a child?
They should they should not be silent. As adults, we should defend the what we perceive as the weak among us.
Mm-hmm.
Say something. We're adults. Say no, don't treat him like that. Don't treat her like that.
Mm-hmm.
And give your reasons why. But I want to look at today's society.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a lot of exercises and stuff introduced to lose weight,
Mm-hmm.
slim fast, all these exercises.
Yeah, fad diets.
Everywhere. We have bought the idea of what's normal.
Right.
There was a time in the society whereby the more skinnier a woman was, the more attractive she was perceived to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm old enough to remember a top model that
Twiggy. Yeah, I think she came out in the 60s. Yeah, she was a skeleton.
Tortured themselves
to look like her.
To reach that. Matter of fact,
yes,
in the modeling industry,
yes,
there's a certain look,
right,
that's called the God look.
Yes.
And it's kind of and it's attached to heroin use.
Ooh.
To heroin.
Wow.
To get that look.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of models succumb to that pressure.
Yes.
But now the page has turned. There's been a correction.
Right.
There is the model that is called curvy.
Right. Full figured even.
Fluffy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that took some work. Right.
Yeah.
That took some work to undo that. Yeah. Right. Right.
Not all. Some people are born genetically big boned as
right. And they should be right. They should be accepted.
And also especially with men now.
Yes. And we got some callers on the line that want to weigh in on this as well. So we're gonna take you all. Yes.
Okay, I'll be very brief here. Notorious Big was a very popular rapper. That Joe was a very popular rapper. So I'm seeing the
Heavy D
accepting people as they are.
Yeah.
I'll stop right there.
Yeah. Heavy D was another one. Popular rapper.
Health issues.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, absolutely. But it took a while to get to that point where we realize people are just fine as they are. Let me take some calls here. We're going to go to 773-487 and then 314-833. And any others that are on our switchboard, feel free to press 1 and we'll open your mic and get your call, get your thoughts. Let me go to 773-487 Grand Rising. Introduce yourself to our listening audience and give us your thoughts about handling shame.
Yeah, good morning, Koofy. How are you?
Hey, Koofy, how are you?
Oh, hey, stand blessed, trying to bless somebody else.
Well, all right. All right, there you go.
A quick comment in what he was talking about being big bone or fat. No one is big bone or fat. It's called it's obesity, but it's called inflammation. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody has the same bone structure, but the chemicals you put in your body blows up your body. I've been getting down people's obesity problem, and I tell them you're not fat. They go, yes, I am. I go, no, you're sick.
That's another word, thick.
You hear that? You hear that? I shoot straight from the hip. You're sick.
Oh, sick. I thought you said thick, as in THICK, because that's what they call big women, thick. You know, so you're sick.
Chemicals in your body, and you're sick, and go, wow. And I go, here's some herbs. It's going to get the chemicals out your body, and your weight is going to just blow down like if you punch a balloon. It's just going to go down because you have chemicals in your body, and your body is blowing up. I've been helping people for 30 years. I know what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
People don't walk around. It's not obesity. It's a sickness called inflammation. And they go, prove it. I go, when you go to the doctor and your feet is fat, what do they call that? Inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
If your legs and thighs are protruding, bulging out, what do they call that? Inflammation. If your arms are just fat and blow it out, what do they call that? Inflammation. If your stomach is big and fat, what do they call that? I'm fat? No, it's called inflammation.
Well, you know, Koofy, the challenge that we have as a society is, number one, pushing health as the norm. Because like Kareem was telling us about the model that kind of kicked off this whole, skinny thing, Twiggy, you have people sick with bulimia, where you eat and vomit because you're afraid of gaining weight. People who become anorexic. So it's a mindset of I will not be accepted unless I am thin, which is different than being health conscious and eating healthy foods so that your body is properly eliminating and not storing either fat or water excessively. So how do we help people make that transition without attacking them for being overweight? How do we do that?
No baby is born with a bunch of information. When
Right.
you come out, they give you this insulin, they give you poison. And
Yeah.
we all are eating poison every day.
Yeah.
So what's gonna happen when you putting all that poison in your body is gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up. And so, I mean, everybody don't have to be slim or skinny. That doesn't mean the goal. The goal is to feel healthy.
Right.
The goal is to get all the
Right.
chemicals out your body so you can feel healthy.
Right.
Now, everybody's not going to be a stick walking around, but if you have that excess weight on you, you have to understand that it is a medical problem. It is a chemical imbalance in your body that you're having. You know, a lot of women have hot flashes. It's not hot flashes. It's you eating the wrong food.
Yeah, because and hormone. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah. You know.
Yeah, I treat that as well. I treat that as well. I agree with his statements. But we are dealing with how people make others feel. You know, that shaming part. There are medical conditions. There are. Someone can have a very slow metabolism,
Right.
that processes the food and what they eat. But there are people that are naturally tough, muscle structure.
Well, most things are hereditary.
It don't come to just one side, you know. But it is how that condition is perceived.
Right.
And he's correct in looking at the health issues, but how we make people feel.
Yes.
That have those. You know, I want to comment on the shame part and the cultural part. I can only comment on being a melanated man. I can't comment on being a European man, a Spanish. I can only comment on my culture, on how it feels to be walking in America as a melanated man. That's all I can comment. I can't speak.
I'm gonna bet that every man of every color pretty much has the same human experience.
And I don't try to be equal to anybody. You understand? You're not black people. We try to be equal to white folks. I don't do that because they're trying to be equal to me. Okay? I've been on social media for 13 years. And I tell people that out there, all black people right now, we're exposing each other. Expose him. You're fraud. And I tell people, please come and expose me. Please come and expose me. Come on, I'm ready for you. They can't do it. You know why? Because I'm not indoctrinated to the system. I'm not indoctrinated thinking I'm from Africa. My people never came from Africa. This is my land in America. And if you think you're from Africa, you have a mental problem. That never ever happened.
Well, you know,
they
Kofi.
took our land in 1830. Andrew Jackson took the whole South and gave 2 acres of land to white folks, okay? White folks applauded me for that. This is the problem for our mental shame, walking around shameful, walking around like you don't mean anything in this land. And I've done this thing for 13 years, and I've exuded so much pride in our people. They go, wow, this really helps me.
Well, you know, Kofi. You know, Kofi.
And this solves a multitude of our mental problems that we're having today. I'm telling you, I've seen it.
Well, you know, Kofi, and I'm gonna take the next caller, but you know, Kofi, one of the things.
No one can tell you about yourself because you're secure now.
Well, one of the things, Kofi, as we talk about mental health and image, if you get out of the restricted thinking that either your color or land of birth defines who you are, then no one has the power to shame you or make you feel bad about yourself, because we are all greater than our container that our life force energy is living in. And so this is the whole issue. Someone making you feel bad about the body that you're in, whether how it's colored, where what it looks like, what size it is, the place of origin. None of those things matter because you are divine energy encased in flesh. So it doesn't matter what the flesh looks like. But we thank you for your comments, and most definitely we're going to deal with a lot of the issues that have to do with how we are influenced by what other people think about what we are, whether it's our color, our nationality, our body size, our gender, how we can easily be made to feel bad about that if we're in an environment where other people have set a standard of something different that you have to fit in order to be successful. So let me go to our next caller. And if you're on our switchboard now and want to chime in, please press 1 and we'll open your mic. And Brother Kareem, do you have anybody on your switchboard that just pressed 1?
Not at this time, but I invite those of you that are on the AM 360 studio board, press 1 on your phone, and we will recognize you and open your mic.
And just want to share a few more comments from our Facebook friends. Carolyn Hunter says, I've never just sat and allowed any child or individual to be bullied or allowed mistreatment of another child in my presence. And I thank you for that, Carolyn, because that really is what all adults should pledge to do. And she says, now today they all want big butts and big, breasts, and they're selling their souls to look like that. And that is a thing. The plastic surgery industry is booming because of the social pressure to have a certain body type. And she said even buying body parts, which is, that's happening. Kanye West's mother died having that surgery that, what is it? I forgot what it's called, but you staple your stomach together to lose weight. And apparently the surgery went bad and she passed away. But that just shows the depth of the pressure, to hurry up and change something that society has decided isn't acceptable. And Carolyn says the world is truly messed up on the other's appearance. And that is what we have to address. That's what, I'm saying to Kufi in terms of the identity issue. If what you look like is how you define yourself, and you're among people who don't look like you, and maybe you're the only one who looks the way you look, if that's the only way you define yourself, it's so easy to be made to feel like the way you look is incorrect. It's just like Asians who may come to Western nations and then they get the eye surgery to take the folds out of their eyes. Nothing wrong with your eyes. But if you're among people who don't have those folds in their eyes to make their eyes narrower, and you're made to feel like there's something wrong with your eyes, and you're going to pay money to change and alter something that's genetic and evolved in you for a reason. Same thing with, straighten your hair, whatever. You're among people whose hair is not crinkly, and you can be made to feel like something wrong with your hair, wrong with your color, if you're, wrong with your nose. So if you, yes,
you hit on something that is very key, that we are a life force and energy.
We are life force
inside
energy.
of this carriage,
yes,
that we have been given. Almighty God has said that He has made us different colors, different nationalities, so that we become acquainted with one another.
Absolutely.
And once we do that, we find the connection of the soul. The soul is who and what we really
who you are.
It's what we really are.
You are,
it's not
yes.
this carriage that we have been given. Now, we should maintain our health and our bodies, but I am inside of this frame. And knowing who I really am and what I really am is a very liberating knowledge to have. Yourself is a soul.
Yes.
It's a soul. And all of us, God did not make two souls. He made one soul. And we're all one entity.
Absolutely.
So we have different colors, nationalities, weight sizes, and all of that. There is not a cookie cutter for our physicality.
Right.
But there is one cookie cutter for our soul. And we all have the same content at that level. Joy, sorrow, family, you name it. That is where we make the connection. And do not let someone else define us, define the human being. And we all must look a certain way. And, but the knowledge of self is very, very important. I'll stop right there, my sister.
Absolutely. And we got to take a break. We'll be right back. 779-801 coming to you next. Hold on just about 3 minutes. We'll be right back. And if you're watching us on Facebook Live on the Female Solution Facebook page, feel free to write in your comments. We will share them with our listening and viewing audience. And we're talking about public shame, how to handle it, how to stop doing it, how to get it out of our culture. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. And if you're on our switchboard, press 1 so we can add you to the lineup of voices that we bring on after this break. So stay with us.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Self-Care with Jody Susan. Wednesdays, Repairing Broken Families with Naima Latif and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And Fridays, Health and Wellbeing with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Success Strategies with Jana. Second Saturday, Wendy Williams Esquire on relationships. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. And fourth Saturday, Wisdom with Mama D. Join us Sundays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to speak to the host and be a part of the solution.
You could live to be 120 years old and remain active, healthy, alert, and vibrant. Our bodies are made up of cells that are constantly rejuvenating. So if we take proper care of ourselves, we can literally defy aging. Join us every Tuesday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time to learn about self-care from Susan Essentials on the Female Solution Blog Talk Radio Show. Learn how to help your body and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jody Susan. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
And we are back, and you're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV Show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts as we talk about public shame and how to handle it. And we're going to be joining our American Muslim 360 family, and of course going to take calls from both switchboards. And we appreciate your participation in this discussion because we are seriously looking to change the culture that allows shaming to take place. And if you have been a part of that process in any way in your life, we want you to reflect on that. And we're going to take a quick moment and reconnect with our American Muslim 360 audience. And we are back. And if you've just tuned in, of course, we have been talking about the issues of shame, public shame for various things, body type, sometimes something coming out about you that the society has determined is inappropriate, and you may feel the effects of being humiliated. How do you handle that? How do you overcome it? How do you develop the self-esteem to not allow what is said about you to affect you? So, Kareem, you ready to take the next call? And of course, if you are watching us on Facebook Live, we want you to press 1 when you're ready to speak so that we can add you to this conversation. And we want to make sure our American Muslim 360 family is back with us as we continue this conversation. You know, one of the things that has been in the news is the trial of Jussie Smollett, the actor who was in the TV series Empire. And there was said to be a robbery, assault, and the supposed robbers were accused of, attacking him for being homosexual. And one thing that did happen is that the gay community rallied to his defense in a very strong way. And then it was accused, the entire mugging was accused of being a setup. So he's now on trial with that. But there has been high sensitivity about that sort of bullying because it has been one of those things that have led to suicide. And it has been a thing that the society has allowed to be shamed, the target of shaming. And this is also something that young people struggle with. A lot of people are struggling with sexual identity right now because we have thrown sexuality at them at such an early age and introduced it in so many harmful ways. So this continues to be an issue that they struggle with. But we've got our American Muslim 360 audience back with us. And I want to take our caller at area code 779, and then I'm going to take 314. And if you're on our switchboard, press 1. And if you're listening online, want to join this conversation, call 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. So let me go to area code 779. 801 Grand Rising. Thank you so much for joining us, and give us your name and your thoughts about handling public shame.
Greetings. This is Maika. So glad to be here.
So glad to hear you.
Topic.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is Maika.
Yes.
Well, I was briefly. Greetings.
Yes.
And I like the comments that Brother Kareem had before we went off to break. That was profound.
Yes.
As a therapist, I was called recently by a holistic associate of mine because her daughter was attempting suicide on a number of occasions. And she said she didn't want to put her in a mental hospital, but she knew about my work. And she called me. She said, I know you can help her. And what was interesting is, as we traveled back into her past, it was her being teased as a child because she was tall. And of course, I'm tall also, so I could identify with, being teased as a child for being tall. And that's something you can't even do about. And, we had a couple of good laughs about that, like thinking, how can I get my legs cut shorter? You can't do it, And there was even a movie on Netflix called Tall Girl, and she talked about that too.
Wow.
So, people do shame people all the time. So her husband of today would always tease her about something, and that would trigger her going back to when she was a child and being teased as a child for being tall. So we cleared that, and she's fine today. Because I think the most important thing, as a matter of fact, I know the most important thing we can give our children is a healthy self-image and high self-esteem. And that buffers them from the world of cruelty that people take them through. Based on bodily images and what have you. It's so important to instill those qualities in your children as you send them out into the world. I was told recently about a situation with my youngest son where that's not, and people do all kind of things. So he was able to pull himself out of that. But I know my children have suffered shame as a result of that, and some have gotten therapy and some haven't. But there are all kind of ways that people are made to feel ashamed. The result of growing up feeling ashamed, you do a sense of unworthiness. I know a lady that traveled with me yesterday to Chicago. She was talking about her husband. He didn't feel worthy of living. He took the position that she'd be better off if he were dead. And he wouldn't do anything to keep his life together. And he just recently died angry because of that. But she said he just never felt worthy. And that's so important to feel worthy of life. People come in this world feeling unworthy. They hear about how their mother tried to abort them. or how their father
Yes.
beat them up and tried to kill them while they were in the womb. And then there's that sense of unworthiness that comes up in them. So again, you know, we have to create in our children this strong buffer of high self-esteem and a healthy self-image. It's so important. I personally remember a young girl in school, they used to tease because she smelled, and she did. She smelled of urine all the time.
And she might have been homeless.
So sad for her.
Yeah.
I felt so sad for her, but there was nothing I could do. I wanted to be her friend because I realized she did need friends, but she did smell, so I couldn't get close. But I remember that. That was so terrible how they treat her. And on the statement about big bone that Brother Kareem said, I agree. Like if you go to the Hawaiian Islands, those are big bone people. They're healthy. They're big bone people. There is a thing called big bone people. I just wanted to slide that in there too.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a problem that is really bad in the society today. Shaming people, and it does lead to a lot of suicide.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We do. And thank you so much for sharing that story. I have a question though. Did the teacher know that was his father? And, you know, when she was choosing to talk about this in the classroom?
Yes, he knew, but he didn't know the effect that my son would have as a result of it. He's in Georgetown University. Everybody got a laptop or a phone, so as soon as he mentioned the name Bevel, the teacher, all the students went to look it up, because you can't avoid the history. The history is real.
Right.
You can't, if you're talking about the 60s and the 70s, the name's going to come up. And it's just that one of the pictures that was very prevalent on, at that time was him in an orange jumpsuit. So, yeah.
I realize teachers are not therapists. I don't know if that was just a level of unthinkingness or insensitivity. But that brings up another topic, because people tend to think that when someone is famous, they don't have a right to privacy and they're fair game. And so their children go through a lot of heartache, because you have people that might be in on the tabloids all the time, or in the news, or whatever is happening, their personal lives, families get divorced, and it's all, it's entertainment. And if you're the child in that family, that's horrifying that you have to go through. They don't think about that.
They don't think about how the children are affected.
Yes.
They say cruel things,
They say cruel.
So that's why you got to build them up ahead of time.
Yes.
To be able to buffer them.
That's a critical thing. Yes, you have to build them up. And I will say this, just in observing a family that I've had an opportunity to work with and see close up, the Jackson family, Reverend and Mrs. Jackson. He's been in the news forever. And I noticed that she shielded those children until they got to be adults. You didn't see her children out, and they weren't featured on TV and everything. She really kept them protected until they got to an age where they had defined themselves and they were able to handle whatever the attention of being the child of Reverend Jesse Jackson brought. And so naturally, they were involved with, the news and so forth, but they as children were not violated. And I think that took a lot of effort and foresight on her part. You have to give children that strong sense of self-esteem, the understanding of, you're living for a purpose and a cause. And yes, there will be mean people that attack you, but to not have the press have access to your children at all, so that they don't end up, exploited. And I admire her for that, and definitely applaud her for that. And I think anybody who is in the limelight and you have children, you have to protect your children from exploitation. You almost have to debrief them when they come home every day, because they might have heard something about, their famous family. that could have disturbed them, or even like if they're a historical figure, like your son dealing with, having a father who was a part of history and having it be part of the classroom and having it be very difficult because the teacher just didn't think this is a difficult thing that they're going through, that his father's going through, that his family's going through. Maybe I should talk to him first and say, how do you feel about us doing a lesson on your father? And, get some kind of understanding, but, the sensitivity just was not there. But I think that's something also educators should think about. If you have someone in your classroom whose parent is widely known, whether they're an elected official or a prominent business person, somebody that could be the topic of public discussion, be conscious of how you're going to be affecting that child by talking about their famous, well-known parent and having, things that could be hurtful said. I think that's very important for adults to be conscious of the children. So thank you so much, Maika, for sharing that insight. And I believe we've got another caller. Did you have any callers on the AM 360 switchboard, Kareem? Before I take this next caller, I think I'm going to go to.
Not at this time, but I invite those of you on the AM 360, if you wish to contribute to this valuable conversation, press 1 on your phone and I will unmute your mic.
All right.
No, I have none at this time.
Well, all right. Well, let's go to area code 314-833. I believe we've got our brother Mark Shahid from St. Louis joining us. Grand Rising. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam.
Naima, Kareem, and to both of the Stoop Radio Listen audience, the Female Solution, and also at AM 360 Radio. I want to say, first and foremost, all the praise and thanks belongs to Allah once again for a very, I think, enlightening subject. I've enjoyed all the commentary, and a lot of it's very, very valuable. And just listening to my good sister and friend, Monica, and what it is that she said, I like to take this back to the seed, not the root, because you can't get a root until you have the seed.
Interesting.
Let's take it back to the first social unit, the family life. The family life. And I want parents to see themselves as teachers. This is first and foremost, see themselves as teachers. And in being a teacher, you have an obligation and a responsibility, the words that you give to your children, that they have a sense of who they are. As a matter of fact, being a former member of the Nation of Islam, I'm going to give this, and I think this will be helpful, something that Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us. The first thing he taught us is to know yourself, get to know yourself, yourself. And he said, after knowing yourself, then respect yourself. And then he said, after respecting yourself, then love yourself. And then he said, after loving yourself, then be yourself. And then after that, then he said, do something for yourself. Okay? Why is this so very important? Because when you start with knowing yourself, and Kareem did hit on that early on his commentary, is that who created you as a human being? See, all the other things that, become superficial in terms of body weight, color, and all those other things, because the real self is not identified in the physical form or shape.
Absolutely.
And God is in the Quran, he's the one that gives us some shapes, our form, and our color. And he's made us into different nations and tribes. So that, just by getting that word and conveying that word to our children, it gives them the parent in terms of themselves, now the self-esteem of how they regard themselves, the foundation in terms of getting to know who you are is coming first and foremost from the first teacher. After God is the first teacher for all human beings, but he's given the honor and distinction to the mother. And you know, Naima, you was with me from the very beginning of the Parenting and Family Reconstruction Learning Lab. And we established on that learning lab, very important point, is that the mother is the first teacher. And Almighty God gave her that distinction and role, but she also becomes the first leader. So in doing that and teaching our children, and this being raised up in them, bred in them, raised up in them as to who they are, you see. And one of the things that I've established here in St. Louis, and every fourth Sunday, I have a class called Words Make People. And it's focused for youth.
Words
and
make people.
Adults. And yeah, Words Make People. And one of the first things I taught them was on the acronym of SELF, S-E-L-F. The S stands for status, the E stands for evolving, the L stands for learning and language, and the F stands for future. I won't go through all of that, but I want to just focus on status. And there's three ways that I taught them in terms of young people being concerned about their status. This is all in essence what it is we're talking about in terms of their status.
Yes. And you know, that's the thing. And you know, I'm glad you say the word status. I'm glad you said the word status, because I think that's another thing that
people are defined in terms of giving definition.
yes.
In terms of identifying you by definition, that means other people are defining you in terms of your status. We know that saying, you know, if you're white, you're all right, yellow, mellow, brown, you can stick around, red, you can get ahead, and black, get back, and all that.
And heard the red, that's a new one, okay.
In terms of status, the other thing is in terms of children trying to seek status is through acquisition.
Yes.
Acquisition. You know, if I have the latest brand, this or that.
That is the thing. I'm glad you focused on that, because that's a thing that actually leads to crime.
In terms of achievement.
Yes.
You see, because we want to inspire our children to get the proper status. And then we go back to the Quran again. And God says, you understand, the most honored among you are the one that's most consciously regardful of me. And that means that being consciously regardful of God's word. What is his word to his human creation? What is his will or his purpose for the human creation? And then finally, how is it that God, what way does God want us to live and to interact with each other?
That's the key thing.
Very
Absolutely.
And as parents and being teachers, if we would have these things, and I'm just giving framework. I'm not giving detail.
But you know, Mark, as you said, you know, Brother Mark, as you say, it has to be inside of the parents in order to, because you can only give what you have inside of you. And I think that's one of the things that we see missing, particularly in parents who have children when they themselves have low self-esteem. And that's how they end up being a parent who's actually bullying a child or ridiculing a child or belittling or shaming a child because they have not developed the self-esteem. So that's the challenge that we have.
You know, Will Smith said something very important, and it was years ago, and I said, well, I was going to write it down. I said, no, I'm not going to write it down. And, you know, I'm challenging his vision. And I remember my mother always said, if anything is of importance, she said, you should
commit it to memory.
By heart.
Yes, to heart.
Yeah, you would commit it to memory. So this is what he said. He said, throughout life, people will make you mad. They will disrespect you and treat you bad. But let God deal with them for the things that they do. For hatred in your heart will consume you too.
Ooh.
That was very, very
profound.
Powerful.
Definitely profound.
Said in that report.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. We got to take a break.
This is
but
comes in terms of hatred.
Yes.
Or which is very destructive. I just want to say before, because I know you got maybe another caller.
Yeah, we got it coming up on break, and then we got area code 863 coming to you after the break.
People to listen into the Parenting Family Reconstruction Learning Lab, because exactly this topic here that you have on the female solution is that we talk about what correct parenting is and how to reconstruct a destructive family life.
Yes.
And we have to look at this as family in terms of what's going on in the community, the society, what it is that we don't like, and what
That's
it is
where it
that we
starts.
need to be doing in that first social union, which is the family life.
Absolutely.
So that happens tonight. We're on the sister station, IWDM Radio, 714-816-4673. We ask that you do tune in to the Parenting Family Reconstruction Learning Lab, and also the Sister Learning Lab, which is the Courtship and Marriage Learning Lab. And that's on Thursday. And that happens at 7 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Central and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time. Courtship and Marriage Learning Lab. All of these have a connection, and we want to say that our resident imam here in St. Louis, Imam Jihad Mukman, will be my special guest. And guess what the topic is going to be? It's going to be on marriage, family, and community life.
Well, that's what we need to correct. And I thank you for all the work that you do on that as well. Yeah.
So I do invite people to listen in. I know it's not the platform to give a lot of information on, but it's very, very important and substantive that we have these type of venues where we can actually
We have to teach. We have to teach.
The greatest enemy, as Imam Muhammad said, is ignorance.
Absolutely.
This is ignorance. This
Absolutely.
is personified ignorance. And you're right, Naima. It's not only with the children, but it is with parents.
It's with the parents. And that's where it has to start. Yeah.
And I teach it.
Right.
That's why they should be present. And if you know people that fit that bill, well, it don't matter what the platform is.
Invite them to listen and be ready to take notes. Yeah, we got to take a break, Brother Mark. We thank you so much for the work you do. And listen in, people, to the learning labs, the family reconstruction learning labs. And we definitely have to get our families together and teach those who might be dysfunctional parents. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back and take our next caller at area code 863 816. You're up after the break, and then we'll go to American Muslim 360, see if we got any callers on that switchboard. And if you want to call in, 515-605-9325. Press 1 when you're ready to speak. We'll open your mic and get your thoughts. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Have you ever dreamed of going to exotic places, meeting fascinating people, enjoying uplifting music, and spending nights in a luxurious hotel? Do you look forward to a relaxing vacation where you can walk along the beach or sit in a quiet park and enjoy the sunset or sunrise? Whether you're flying around the world or driving across the country, we will share travel tips that will help you stay safe while you enjoy the journey. Join me every third Saturday of the month, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and move around with Deborah here on the Female Solution Show. Call in and comment 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak.
With a simple blood test and foods plan, Tucson Essentials will help your business, your family, and you eliminate toxins and create a step-by-step plan to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. Click here to learn more.
Do you want to live in a world without war? Join our global peace movement. Heavenly Culture World Peace Restoration of Life transcends culture, religion, ideology, and other boundaries to achieve peaceful harmony and the global society. HWPL is committed to bringing world peace and cessation of war through peaceful dialogue between religious groups. I am Director Shin-Suk Kim of the HWPL Chicago branch of North America. Join us for our next gathering. Call 773-580-1501 and be a part of the movement for world peace. Email us at chicagohwpl@gmail.com.
Tune in to Global Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear great topics and stories on grief and turn it into victory. Join Dr. Debbie Green to listen to stories of triumph and learn how to overcome. You are not alone in your life, and there is hope in the darkest hour. This is your time to learn strategies and solutions to improve your life. It's your time. So join Dr. Debbie Green with Global Solutions and call in on Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time and 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 515-605-9325 with comments and questions. Look to hear from you real soon.
And we are back for our last 20 minutes of the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid, and we have been talking about shame, public shame, the kind of shame that can possibly even cause a person to take their own life. The feeling of being unworthy to live, the feeling that you can't face the world because of the humiliation. And sometimes this state of shame is something people live with every day simply because of the way they look, or as Brother Mark said, their status. How many people have been shamed because they don't have money? And we have found, and I'm sure some of you even remember stories. I don't think many of us were around at that time, but when the stock market crashed and so many millionaires lost money and they jumped out of windows committing suicide because of the fear of the shame of being poor. And this was a very common thing that happened. People committing suicide when they lose all their money. So what is it about losing the status of wealth that would make a person kill themselves? We've seen it happen often. The fear of being looked down upon and humiliated because you don't have money. And I happened to find out, when I visited my daughter when she was living in South Korea, and she was telling me that many of the homeless people there, here we know people tend to be homeless because they might have drug problems or whatever. Family had to put them out because they were stealing, and that happens. But there, she said, a lot of times these are people who failed at business, and they're so ashamed. They'd rather stay on the street somewhere else in another city than go home and show that they had failed in business and lost all their money. And then when we were traveling on public transportation, and I noticed that the subway had walls separating the passengers from the train. And then when the train stopped, it was just this narrow opening that was only wide enough for the door of the train. So the train would stop at the opening, and then you could get on, but there was no access to the train by the public. And she was explaining that there was so many people that were committing suicide by jumping in front of the train that they had to block the access to the train tracks. So, what is it that makes a person want to take their own life because of shame? And when you have a society where status is such an extreme thing, and loss of status could mean shame for your family forever. Sometimes the only way out people see is as suicide. So that's something that we have to stop as a society, shaming people to death, literally. Yes, Brother Kareem, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, and we got a caller here as well.
Yes, ma'am. We have a caller on this line also, but I'll be very brief. I want to encourage the listening audience. If you have not seen the movie King Richard,
oh yeah,
go take your daughters, your son, the whole family to see that movie King Richard.
Yeah.
It stars
Will Smith. Yes.
Beloved actor Will Smith.
Yes.
You will see how encouraging he was. He had planned his family's future before they were even born, and how he lifted up their sense of self-worth.
Yes.
That
told them they'd be champions. Yes.
Go and see King Richard.
Yes.
We have a caller here whenever you are ready to.
Okay, well, let me go to 863. He's been holding for a while, and we go straight to your caller after that. Area code 863-816. Introduce yourself to our listening audience and give us your thoughts about handling shame.
Here at LA Central Florida, just real quick. When it comes to the topic of shame, in my opinion, no matter what a person looks like, no matter what their financial condition might be, I reclassify. You know what? I look at all those are your superpowers. Now, it might not seem like they're superpowers to you, but they're really your superpowers. But you first have to learn how to use those superpowers. Like a real basic superpower that a lot of people take for granted is walking. Well, now, because when if you can't, you were born and whatnot, you couldn't walk. All right. You had to learn how to lift your body up, and then you were successful at that, and you probably stood on your feet, but then you were falling down, and then learn how to, you had to develop that superpower. It might have taken you, God knows, thousands of steps when you busting your lip, hitting your head, but you didn't. You just kept on until you developed that superpower, so you can actually walk upright and then eventually run. So no matter what a person, short, tall, skinny, fat, whatever it is, those are actually superpowers that you had to learn how to develop. And then after you learn how to develop those, then you need to learn how to place yourself in an empowering environment that will appreciate those superpowers, no matter what you look like. So those are my comments.
Well, thank you so much. And that was LA from Central Florida. Yes. You must be able to appreciate yourself. And I did go and see King Richard, by the way. My daughter and I went to see that, and I was very impressed with the performance by Will Smith. He does a fantastic job in embodying the personality of the people that he portrays. So this, another outstanding performance, and a lot of lessons to be learned from that movie. I think it'd be good to watch. Also, just to note, I don't want to give away all the movie, but note the teamwork between him and his wife in their work as athletes, helping to develop their daughters. Because a lot of people don't really, they're not as conscious of her, but I'm glad that movie honored the role that she played and the fact that they worked as a team. And, they alluded to he made some, choices in life that may have had an impact on some of his other children. But the bottom line is to understand that,
it is rare. It is rare that a movie is made that shows the power and worth of fatherhood.
Yes, that's what's important.
I applaud Hollywood for having the courage to distribute that movie.
Yeah, definitely. Because we need more of that.
The entity of fatherhood.
Yes.
Nailed in the presence of the family. Very, very, very encouraging.
And understanding how a father affects daughters. because you have a profound effect
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
self-esteem of your daughters. So yes, your caller on your switchboard.
Yes, area code 706-627. Welcome to the Female Solution. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Now, this is Brother Muhammad from Columbus, Georgia. And I thank Allah for being in your presence, and thank Allah for blessing all of you to deliver this message.
Yes, sir.
I'll talk about 3 or 4 things right quick, but my also answer. We thank Allah for the plans that those who are given opportunity will slip the portray roles, which inshallah, I pray Allah that He knows is going to help him get closer and closer to the Creator by practicing such good deeds on family life, etc., and the many roles he played in his movie show. But again, we know that good consultation from the Quran and what he is going toward, which he knows that, and it will help him from listening. Now, the other one, suicide. When we explain to people according to what they believe, the devastation of how he will make them be incomplete in their belief when they take their own life in their own hand, knowing that they didn't create themselves. When we explain to people what Allah says about suicide and what it causes immediately in the effect of the thinking of the human being as well, the final result if you keep listening to this, like Brother Kareem says all the time, like the artificial excuses that Shaitan gives you and thinking that you have that authority to take your life or anybody else's life, without conferring to what Allah has already put in you, a warning not to do that. If you have any kind of faith or belief in whatever you believe in, be it a tree or whatever, you don't cut a tree down and make it fall on you intentionally because you will long and get the benefit of the tree. So it doesn't make a difference. So when we explain to people whatever they come to us for counseling for, because we are the counselors, whether we like it or not, they're prophecies of the whole world at this time. It was been dominated by the Christian faith, was told that you need a comforter coming to give you all the truth, the counseling, and he will comfort you in these serious decisions that you have to make to carry on your life to its full potential of whatever you believe in. Because as you reach those goals, if your belief in whatever it was is going to give you and carry you to another level closer to the truth, and in our understanding, the true creator of your whole existence. So you have to work on those things to talk to people according to their understanding of what they believe, but let them understand that their belief comes from Allah. And committing suicide or any kind of wrongdoing or thing you did, any kind of good doing and good positive thing and deeds and actions will give you this, and then they have us as an example to prove that it must be right. Because they know people who come to Al-Islam who at one time they're like, we'll talk about committing suicide. The people who they knew were shooting drugs with them or robbing people. They know people like that who are now Muslims and have found the solution in their problems in that world out here. That world out there belongs to Shaitan. Allah has given them permission to use it to make us want more than our share. And which that will corrupt our intentions, our desire. We'll start lying, we'll start being free, and we'll start making excuses. That cause collateral damage to other people, like Allah warns us, that you'll get their punishment too. Any one of you stop entering this way of life behind your topsy or your logic or whatever, going, the world is logic is that of Shaitan. They invited you and make us think we can get a better life if we follow his logic of what to do with this world instead of following the logic that Allah has given to us to take care of it and get all the bounties of it out of it as a reward. So I think when we do more counseling and comforting like the way Prophet Isa described Prophet Muhammad to the world. Maybe the whole world listened to what Isa said when he said that. And when we start doing that, being the counselors and comforters and being the model of those who follow the light of the Quran, an example Prophet Muhammad, it would help a lot of people make that choice they're going to have to make, which in some cases deadly.
Well, thank you so much. We got a couple of comments from Facebook and another caller.
I want to clarify some things here. That what you are seeing by way of suicide bombers, people that strap explosives to themselves, and they go amongst people and detonate those bombs, that has no foundation and no place in the religion of Al-Islam. That there is no foundation for that from the Quran or the life of the Prophet Muhammad. Those are people that have gone far astray. I wanted to say that in connection. Suicide. Right there.
Yes. Well, we certainly appreciate that clarification, because a lot of people are not understanding what is the motivation and what, they're blaming a religion for what is actually a political strategy. It may be powered by a person's personal belief that there is a reward in sacrificing their life for what they believe is the cause for freedom, but not understanding that truly is not the way to fight for freedom. But one can be convinced of that and believe that they're doing something noble. So, but that's another show we need to have, because that's some education that the world needs to understand on that. Yes.
The question needs to be asked: what condition what pressure was placed upon those people to drive them to that extreme?
That's the question.
We have to look at the call.
That's right.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. And we're gonna definitely plan a show on that. We're gonna have some Palestinian guests come on talk about that, because Americans really need to understand on a deeper level, because we have a responsibility to make sure our government isn't responsible for pushing people to that point of desperation by our policies. So we got to have that show. And we got a couple of comments here. Viata says to Carolyn Hunter, temporary shift, transition occurring to move us from the fourth and fifth dimension of the world. So there'll be peace. And yes, we are looking to change the society that we live in. And Yvonne Robinson says, yes, both parents, particularly the father, because moms always take care of business. But yes, the movie is great in promoting the father. And teamwork makes the dream work. Sounds like the female solutions, Pat. Yes, it is. Thanks for a great topic and show. Well, thank you, Yvonne Robinson, for watching. Yes, we do highly recommend that movie for people to really see the power of a determined father and a plan for your family, because that lets you know he had foresight, and that is what made the difference in their lives. He foresaw them becoming champions and made it happen by following a very detailed plan. And we can all do that when we have children. Let me go to next caller here. Let me see. Hold on. There we go. Switchboard. All right. And we got 407-701, our sister, Viata. Grand Rising. How are you?
Grand Rising. I'm fine. It's a beautiful day in Florida. Back to my t-shirts and barefoot.
All right. Don't be rubbing it in. And we are up here in this 16-degree weather in Chicago.
Getting all these negative ions from the earth. But I wanted to just say, as far as bullying and suicidal and all that, I think like we who have healthy emotions, we know who you are. Mm-hmm. You're not reacting to everything that somebody says to you. You're not in a toxic relationship with a spouse or whatever. Those of us who have healthy relationships, we can be listening to understand. This is something Jody mentioned on her show yesterday, and I thought it was very profound. Instead of listening to respond, we should be listening to understand. So So these people in our lives who might be suicidal, we know who they might be because they might have been depressed or demonstrated behavior that was like, whoa, what's going on? And I just feel like we have to be, those of us who are conscious and healthy in our emotions and our body, mind, listening to understand what is this person saying when we have a conversation with people. It's time for us to take the mask off, look people in the eye, smile at them, and say, tell me about what's going on in your life. Let's go to tea. Let's have tea. There doesn't have to be any therapy session or anything like that. But just listening to understand what is going on in a person's heart and head so that we can just share a smile, a little words of encouragement, love.
Yeah.
And that's what I think
It's
most
that
people
simple.
I encounter, even at the grocery store. I get to the grocery store and the checkout person isn't smiling. They got a mask on. And I make sure I look at the name tag and say, Jody, thank you so much. You were great. You did a great. And they just check their whole attitude, their eyes.
Yes.
They brighten up.
Yes.
So little things like that, I think just on one-on-one, we can start to pay attention, to understand and not be responding, waiting to, prepare our response.
That's how you change the world, one soul at a time. And it's so simple, like you said, just share a smile and a word of cheer, a word of encouragement, a compliment. And you'd be surprised, you change that person's whole day, their whole vibration. You'll feel it. You'll see it. Their aura changes. I mean, it works magic. It's such a little thing, but that's a critical thing. Well, we're out of time now. I'm so thankful, Viana, for you giving us that last word of wisdom. And it's been said, I guess we had several callers, Kareem, that emphasize the importance of what your parents instill in you about yourself. There's so many parents that use that parenting tactic of criticism. That's not the way. If you're a mother or father, do not shame your child. Do not insult your child. Do not make them feel bad. You're setting the foundation of who they are and who they believe they are going to become and what right they have to live. So give them love, encouragement.
That is domestic violence. That is domestic violence.
That's domestic violence. So, Brother Kareem, last words before we go?
Yes. A good word is like a good tree. It bears its fruit. A bad word is like a bad tree. It bears its fruit. So let us use uplifting language with one another and do not condemn a person because of their actions. Because of their actions. They are the victims of an artificial way of thinking. Do not shame someone and demean the human being. For the human being is good in its essence. Use words to uplift each other, words of confirmation, affirmation, and value. I'll stop right there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank all of you for joining us today. Thanks to my fantastic co-host, Kareem Hamid. And thank you to our American Muslim 360 family for joining us. Join us tomorrow for Soulful Solutions with Dr. Debbie Green. And until that time, continue to shine your light.
/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/thefemalesolution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com. Watch our TV shows, listen to our radio shows, order our books, and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family In China, Sheshe. India, Zanyaban. Japan, Arigato. Korea, Kamsamnida. Russia, Spasiba. Germany, Danke. Poland, Dziękuję. France, Merci. Spain, Gracias. Italy, Grazie. Egypt, Shukran. Ghana, Madasi. Nigeria, Eshe. South Africa, Nyabonga. Senegal, Geret. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia, revenue. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessing. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.